Hey guys, I'm sure you've guessed it already, but today's project is recreating Wednesday's dorm room from the Wednesday Addams show on Netflix. As soon as I watched that show, I wanted to create at least something of this room. The detail in the window is awesome, especially with the little bit of color that Enid added in, and I thought it would be really fun to recreate my kind of version of the room in an abandoned state, like, everything has been left there for a while and it's starting to decay. So I started off just building this structure with foam board. I love this stuff for things like this. It's so lightweight but strong enough to really get a good shape going. So I just cut it into different pieces, started to glue it in, and I used some 3D printed windows here for the side windows. Then again, I'm using some dollhouse flooring sheets to make my life a little bit easier, as I want to really plaster wood all over the entire thing. It's just all made of wood. And then I laser cut the design for the window that I traced in Adobe Illustrator. I recently saw a video on YouTube by a creator called GX Ace, and he was talking about beautiful tools and tools being really important to being creative and having inspiration. And I really liked that idea, and I do have a lot of tools myself that just make my life in the craft a lot easier, a lot more enjoyable. And most importantly, some of these tools genuinely inspire me to want to create with them. I recently found this mini table saw on Facebook Marketplace. Someone used it for model train railroads and, had no use for it anymore. And it's just been one of the most fun things to use. I have a full-size table saw, but there's so many things I can do with the small one now, and it is a lot of fun. It just feels good. It's a little safer to do this small work, and it's just made me really happy. Like right here, I can take small strips of balsa wood or basswood and rip them down to even smaller, and so I can only have, a couple sizes in stock and rip them to whatever size I need. And it's fast and really easy to use. That's something that I'm trying to find more of in all of my tools. I know sometimes I talk a lot about the different tools that I've been getting and using for filmmaking and 3D printing and stuff like that, and it really is because, especially creating on this channel, how often I need to try to create. I want my tools to inspire me, and I want to be able to be happy to go sit down and use them and not be frustrated. I'm going to stay on this theme a lot through this video, and I would really like to know in the comments what are some of your favorite tools that actually make you happy and inspired to create with, and just, share them with everyone so that we can begin to see how others work and maybe find some beautiful tools that we've never seen before. So I 3D printed a couple pieces of this bed frame and then started building the rest out with pieces of styrene and started just rusting it up. I know I just want to kind of age a lot of these pieces and not make them brand new anymore, and so I'm using the rust from Dirty Down, and then I'm going to try to build out this window. I glued this piece of plastic sheet down to the laser cut piece, and now I'm taking these alcohol markers to try to add some of that color. I couldn't really figure out a good quick way to add these colors, and so this was just an idea I had, and I started coloring them in and found that if I took some isopropyl alcohol and a paintbrush, I could even them out a little bit. And honestly, I like how that came out because it has more of a grungy, faded look. It's not all even and perfect, but if you're looking for a more perfect thing, I think maybe cutting out pieces of like gel paper would be a good idea. I just didn't have enough time to give that a try. As always, I'm dirtying everything up with some pigment powders before I start getting into adding some vines and little details. I wanted to keep the small items to a minimum in here, just like they took most of their things but left some of the bigger pieces of furniture and whatnot. And so I really just added a couple pieces of paper and now these little rugs. I print these out onto fabric paper and then iron them onto a small piece of fabric. This is just some door screen material that I cut out that's going to give a really interesting look. If you saw the windows in the show, it had that kind of metal netting in through the glass to keep the glass stronger. This just works really well for that. And then I wanted to add some vines in here. I think I even saw some vines in the room in the show, and so I just want to do that and some dead leaves. And now I want to share with you a new tool that I found to be really awesome for me. This is the Wave 2 color control panel from Tangent. It helps me when I'm working on all of these finished shots and doing the color grading process, and honestly, it's really exciting. It also happens to look and feel pretty beautiful in my opinion. Ever since I started working in video over 10-15 years ago, I have dreamed about getting a color control surface panel. This is just something for some reason I've always wanted, the tactile feel and being able to control what I'm seeing on the screen with my fingers instead of having to use a mouse and a keyboard. So I reached out to Tangent and asked if they could send this Wave 2 panel because it's the perfect size and still has all of the functions for what I do every day. Color grading is one of my favorite parts of the process. I've just always enjoyed manipulating the image to make it look even more like I originally intended. And now having something that I can just use these tactile controls, not only does it make it way faster for me to go through all of my clips and color grade, but it also makes me feel like I can actually manipulate the images in a way that just feels a lot more natural instead of using a mouse. I think my favorite thing about the panel is the lift, gamma, and gain adjustments. You have the 3 color wheels, but you also have the 3 exposure adjustments. I am constantly tweaking these exposure adjustments very quickly just to get the moody, contrasty look that I like, and it is so fast to do it here instead of using my mouse. Then also, if I do need any color adjustments, these wheels make it so easy and precise to get, whereas going back and forth between each wheel with a mouse one at a time is just slow and really doesn't work well in my workflow. So to quickly show you what it looks like from the top down, these are the menu pages. There's a couple arrows that you can scroll through different pages, and if you press both the arrows together, it brings you to the master page. But basically you can go to different pages and use the different tools in DaVinci Resolve right on the control panel. And here's how I'm going to go about grading one of these shots. So first, I can go through the pages and start playing with the master offset. This is just allowing me to get the exposure down a little bit and make it a little more moody. And even without leaving the page, I can start using the lift, gamma, and gain adjustments to, change the contrast a little bit and balance that image a little bit. I'm also going to use the gamma to just add a little bit of warmth into that shot just to warm it up a slight bit. And here's the before and after with just that initial adjustment node. This shot is actually lit pretty well overall, so there's not a ton of adjustments, but I'm going to now start adding some power windows and kind of selectively paint parts of the image. So still just using the control panel, I can add a power window, start changing the position, size, and shape of it, and really dial in what I want to do. So I'm going to start adjusting the main window, make it a little more contrasty and make it pop a little bit. So I've added that, and I've even adjusted the softness of the window, and now I'm adjusting the contrast. I'll also play around a little bit with the lift, gamma, and gain adjustments, I believe, just to bring it out a little more. So here's the before and after of this adjustment to the window, and I'm going to show you a couple more power windows that I did real quick without showing you the whole process. The fact that I can do power windows all from this thing really makes me happy, because as you can see, I really kind of relight these shots in post this way. There's only so much you can do, especially on a miniature scene, to get the lighting exactly the way you want it. Thank you, Tangent, for sending the Wave 2. Tell me what tools you love in the comments. Let me know exactly what you find beautiful and useful. Definitely go check out Tangent and their color panels if you are at all into color grading. It makes my life so much easier, faster, and more enjoyable to color grade my footage. So thank you again, Tangent, for sending that to me. It's been awesome. If you'd like to hear more about my filmmaking stuff, let me know in the comments as well. I might do more on the channel, and definitely could do more in-depth tutorials on my Patreon if that's something people are interested in. Meanwhile, I'm going to continue trying to raise the bar with some of the cinematography. I have a lot of ideas to continue upping the game with that, so keep an eye on my channel for the next couple months and see what's coming. See you guys next time.